This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound. Just listen for a little bit. What sounds can you hear? I heard or I saw a yawn. Hear air moving? Can you hear sunlight? You can feel it. Well, this day has been waiting for you. It's been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms, just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now, and let us worship together. Please rise and embody your spirit for our first hymn. It's in the Teal Hymnal, 1040. 1040. Hush, hush, 1040.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
How is everyone? I hear murmurings. Well, it's good to see you all. We have a number of announcements in the back. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them and a couple that are not in the announcements. So we have our own version of Between Two Ferns. If you go down to Channing Hall, it is filled to the brim with ferns, which we are selling to benefit the church. Thank you, Gina Pierce, for supplying all these. Good. So I promised Gina, she said, is anyone going to come downstairs and look at these ferns? I said, everyone is going to come down and look at these ferns. So go downstairs after, enjoy that. Another announcement that's not in here that's very important is next door at the synagogue, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., there's going to be a service honoring the 1-year anniversary of the hostages taken on October 7th. It's going to be a service open to the whole community at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. So if you're able to join, it's at Congregation Ohev Beth Shalom, right next to our church on Elm Street. So I hope you can make it if you're able. And then last announcement, actually second to last, is Melissa Smith and I are going to be starting a series on faith development. And we're going to do this on the second Wednesday of every month. And we're going to start by looking at our shared values, beginning with arguably the most important one, love at the center, and what that means. So that's going to be this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's going to be here at the church and on Zoom. So you can join either way, on Zoom and here in person. And last announcement, it is Tracy McQuillan's birthday on Friday. So we're going to please sing happy birthday to Tracy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tracy. Happy birthday to you.
And with that, Tracy McQuillan for our chalice lighting.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. There's probably no one in the world more surprised to see me here than me. Years ago, Louisa Berger suggested that the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown would be a good fit for me. But the word church and all the underwhelming memories and associated with my previous religious experiences prevented me from investigating further. Don't get me wrong, I envied those folks who had faith, but knew it wasn't something that could be forced. I never felt anything except boredom and sometimes shame at the services I attended. Until earlier this year, when something pulled me to the UUYO. The otherworldly light that streamed into the chapel, the live, beautifully performed music, the readings from anything but the Bible, the timely, relevant messages from Reverend Joseph, and the warm acceptance from the congregation made me feel embraced. Of course, I was skeptical because I've learned the hard way many times that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. I continued to attend, though, started to become involved, met people, and discovered that folks shared my beliefs, were concerned about the same injustices, and actively worked to make the world a better place. Each week I attended, I felt more connected, more drawn to becoming a member of this community of people who cared and accepted and loved. So here I am, an official member of the UUYO, something I never thought would happen. So we light this chalice to hope.
Now please join me in greeting our neighbor. Especially if you don't know someone, please do say hello. How are you? It's always good.
For a moment, I thought you were going to talk right through the storybook, and I was okay with that. So, playing the part of Kathleen is me, Kate. Don't be confused, we're a little different. This is Daniel's Good Day by Mika Archer, and, oh, I don't know who illustrated it. Danny knows many people in his neighborhood. Have a good day, they tell him as he walks to his grandma's house. Excuse me, he says to Mr. Sanchez, but what makes a good day for you? When skies are clear so I can paint, she tells him. He sees Emma heading to the park with a kite. What makes a good day for you? Daniel asks. A steady wind, says. Bees on flowers, the gardener says. Birthdays, says the baker. Wagging tails, the mail carrier says. The newsstand seller tells them busy sidewalks and friendly faces. Everybody home safe, says the crossing guard. When Daniel gets to Grandma's, she tells him a hug from you makes my day good. In the afternoon, Daniel walks home with his grandma. The gardener is humming along with the bees. The baker, the bus driver are smiling. Emma has found her wind. The babies are sleeping. The couple sits on a shady bench. Lots of people seem to be having a good day everywhere. At home, his mom asks, "How was your day, Daniel?" I had such a good day. There was a clear sky, a steady wind, a shady bench, a long nap, but not for me. Pleases and thank yous, bees on flowers, but not at the birthday picnic. Wagging tails, busy sidewalks, friendly faces, hugs from Grandma and from you. And everybody home safe, adds Grandma. What about some ice cream on your good day, Daniel? Yes, Daniel says. That will make it a perfect day. Are there any children that would like to come forward and help me with the covenant, please? It's okay if you don't want to, but you're welcome to if you want. You can find our covenant in the order of service. Oh, good. Thank you. Love is the spirit of our church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we'll sing the children out. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of Lord surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Good morning. Every week in our service, in addition to our pledge requests, we take up an offering. It can be worthwhile to remind ourselves that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We pass the plate during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessings of abundance and to support our community in a tangible way. This month, our offering goes to support the minister's discretionary fund. This fund is used to help our members and community in times of need, such as by providing meals, helping with bills, offering temporary shelter, and more. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of our church, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
Well, I'll just sit in silence for, I don't know, 30 seconds. Does that sound good? Okay.
Today's reading is a poem by Edgar Lee Masters, in which the speaker of the poem reflects upon his gravestone. It is called George Gray. I have studied many times the marble which was chiseled for me, a boat with a furled sail at rest in a harbor. In truth, it pictures not my destination, but my life. For love was offered me, and I shrank from its disillusionment. Sorrow knocked at my door, but I was afraid. Ambition called to me, but I dreaded the chances. Yet all the while, I hungered for meaning in my life. And now I know that we must lift the sail and catch the winds of destiny wherever they drive the boat. To put meaning in one's life may end in madness, but life without meaning is the torture of restlessness and vague desire. It is a boat longing for the sea and yet afraid.
This is one of my favorite times of year. Anyone else feel this way? It's beautiful, right? It's the beginning of Nonviolence Week in Youngstown and throughout cities in America. This Sunday, I invite you to join me at 3 p.m. in the Nonviolence Parade for a brief and pleasant walk beginning at Wood Street, downtown, right next to First Presbyterian Church. You know where Wood Street is? Yeah, 3 o'clock. I'll be there. Later in the week on Friday, this coming Friday at 11:30 p.m., I'll be part of a panel conversation on the theory and practice of nonviolence, supported by both historical and contemporary authors. Do you know who else is on the panel with me? I feel very privileged to be on a panel with Minnie Jean Trickey, one of the Little Rock Nine, one of the high schoolers that brought desegregation of our school system in the United States. I love hearing Minnie Jean share her experience of that time because she makes it so relatable. She said she was a teenager and had a friend that attended a certain high school. That's how she tells it. She wanted to attend that school because her friend went there, just like any teenager today. She was not interested in making history. She wanted to go to school with her friend. Sound familiar? It was the conditions around her that created history. The color of her skin, living in Little Rock, Arkansas in the 1950s, early 1960s, the legal history of this country. All of that created a historical moment she was part of. But her desire was the same as any teenager born at any time in history: to spend time with your friend. I've learned through various experiences that there is a subjective experience and the way the experience looks from the outside. They are both real and important, but they are very different experiences. Television became used by journalists for the first time to catch images of the civil rights movement. For the first time, in the comfort of their homes, people saw images of police brutality, attack dogs, images of injustice taking place. For the first time in history. And that level of disturbance was an important experience, I think. It was critical in waking up the nation. And then there was the experience of those on the ground enduring the experience. And I'm sure that experience was varied and particular. I got a glimpse of this at Standing Rock, North Dakota, which was another big historical moment, with journalists seeking to capture what was happening. And being there, the experience was intense at times, but also just like the rest of life, mundane and unexpected. Some of my dominant memories during that time are the smell, just having the experience of the smell of a fire from a flame the Lakota tribe kept lit 24 hours. I remember getting stuck in a blizzard. I remember writing a phone number on my arm for an attorney in black marker in case my wallet and my phone was seized if I was arrested. I remember the taste of coffee cooked over fires. All of these details are just as real to me as the experience of meeting tanks and armed soldiers. It was folded into a whole experience of life. And of course, my experience was as a guest who was coming and invited as clergy. If any part of my biography was different, I'm certain my experience would have been different. It's probably not an accident that because I was there as clergy and so new in my formation, that I started to feel a growing confidence with prayer in a very immediate way. I felt that stillness and presence held power, especially in the face of nervous people hired to use weapons and defend property. There was something powerful in that meeting. And you know what it was like? It was like a record skipping. You know these turntables, the record? You know? You guys, some of you might know this. Yeah, okay. So it was like that. It was like a record skipping. When being met with fear and potential violence, the instinct is to run or fight. It's part of our nature, I think, right? But there was a strange power found in doing something different, something unexpected. Sitting on the ground, being still, creating a choir, offering a song, in doing something unexpected, slightly off script. It was like a whole world opened up. A whole new world of possibilities. I didn't know you could feel scared, hungry, and joyful at the same time. The human experience is wider than I imagined. Most of our time is thankfully not spent in such extreme circumstances. And more, I've been feeling drawn to talk about nonviolence in a more mundane, everyday way, removing it temporarily from the flavor of history books and movements and brave leaders, making it something more understandable and useful to people like us. Going to the grocery store, driving a car, spending time with friends. The topic for this month is deep listening, which I think is more than what we happen to hear. I'm very auditory, so sound is very, very important to me. But deep listening is more about using all of our senses to remain curious about the world. You with me on that? For me, that's the definition of a spiritual practice. A practice that when we get stuck, gently opens us. And I've been thinking about violence a little differently lately. I think it may be called a subtle form of violence when we try to keep something in, or we really want to keep something out, which I think we all do, naturally. When we seek to divide experience, I think we can start to divide ourselves. providing an opening for something beyond division seems like a good idea. I wasn't aware until moving to Youngstown the power of story in assuming experience. If the story is taken seriously, it can shut off curiosity about discovering our own experience. I'll give you an example. So I first came to Youngstown, maybe I was here a year or two. I went to our General Assembly, our National Assembly, and we introduced ourselves and where we were from. And some people there from all over the country had heard of Youngstown. Okay? They had heard of Youngstown. And after we all introduced ourselves, they came up to me with compassion in their eyes, saying, "Thank you. Thank you for doing the real ministry." They said, "You must be having a hard time in that hard city." And I took more than a little glee, seeing the unexpected surprise on their faces when I told them this was actually one of the happiest and most nurturing times in my entire life. And I could see the look on their face, which was a great teaching for me. It was as if they couldn't compute what was happening. You know what I mean? The look on their face said, "How could this be? How could this be?" Now, that is my barometer of reality. I know if my experience matches the story I've been told about anything or anyone, I'm not in reality. I'm in a story. A convincing story, maybe, but a story. When I experience something like this person did, the sense of, how could this be? How could this be? I know I'm in the realm of reality. How could this be? Deep listening is giving us more chances to experience. How could this be? Rather than confirming our own opinions about life. I realized after years, that was the trouble I had with joy. Anyone else have trouble with joy? Okay? It often didn't make any sense. I would feel it when I thought I should be experiencing all these other things instead. And I failed to embrace that confusion. I wanted my experience to make sense. And in trying to make it make sense, I made it less real. I distanced myself from my own life. Now I'm more open to surprise, to be curious about what is actually happening, even if it contradicts my assumptions. Now I can even embrace times when I see, wow, things went exactly how I would have hoped, and I'm still miserable. How could this be? Or, wow, everything got turned upside down and my patience is wearing thin, but I'm enjoying being here, sweating in frustration. How could this be? I think perhaps one of the greatest forms of violence, the one that is perhaps common to all of us at some point, is the sense that we're not living the right life. It's the way we subtly or not so subtly disapprove of our life. It's a ruse. that if we were different, or if conditions were different, we could truly live and be happy, fulfilled. I think this might be the most common form of violence. It's violent in the sense that we keep ourselves out of our own life. We hold our life at arm's length and criticize or justify it rather than live it. I think it's one of the most pervasive forms of cruelty. When we spend more time criticizing or justifying rather than living. That creates a culture that only knows how to criticize or justify. We don't know how to actually live and encourage others to live. We lose that sense. And that is perhaps the greatest form of violence. We become more interested in the appearance of a life rather than actually live the life we're given. Fully, wholeheartedly. We become habituated to either criticize or defend our life rather than see what it has in store for us. I think there's a lot in store for us. There is a lot that is available to us, more than we can know. That doesn't mean it's what we would want or what we ask for always, but it's for us. And there doesn't have to be a rule book for how we live that. It's about freedom, really. That, I think, for me, is one of the greatest legacies of nonviolence, is that connection between freedom of the mind and heart and freedom from oppressive systems. You can't maintain an oppressive system with people who have discovered access to a free mind and heart. You can't do it. It's like a record skips. And for a time, we quit playing the role that we thought we had to play. We enter a world of creative confusion where we're not sure who we are or what the world is. And that place is freedom. It's a place of joy. It's the place of life. Our actual lived experience, not the stories we tell ourselves about it. Another great legacy of nonviolence is the insight that it is always the right time to fully live our life. It's always the right time to be free. The time of apartheid, the perfect time to live in freedom. In a jail cell, no better place to be free. The 1960s and legal segregation and attack dogs. The perfect time to live and be alive. 2024, on the verge of a major election. The perfect time to live with curiosity and openness toward life. There is never a better time for it. We don't need to prepare to live. We can just live. We don't need to wait for a better or more convenient time to open up to life, to deeply listen to the strangeness and wonder of life. This is the perfect time. It's always a perfect time. We're not in the wrong life. This is the perfect time to live, to struggle, to hope, It's never been a better time. And it's wonderful to actually experience our inner resistance to that. How could this be? How could this be the perfect time to live? And the beautiful thing is, no one, truly no one, will be able to answer that for you. You can only know by living it yourself, finding out yourself. To take a minute and wonder, who would I be if I didn't criticize or feel the need to justify who I am? Who would I be then? For me, that is entering the realm of nonviolence. That is using all our senses to enter our life with wonder rather than prescribed stories. It's entering our life with a sense of letting go rather than seeking control. It's entering the wonder of life. And that, for me, is what this is all about. If we can learn to enter our life as a wonder, even our burdens become something else. Our problems don't need criticism or justification. They become part of the practice of deep listening. They're part of the wonder. And with that attitude, we'll find things that will surprise us. Nonviolence, I think, ultimately, is an adventure into the life we're living, but one that we lost track of. It's a sense of connection when we refrain from disapproving and trying to keep life tame and understandable. When we refrain from keeping ourselves out of our own life and experiment with what it's like to be in our own skin. It's amazing and wonderful to me that no one can tell you what it's like to be you. Think about that. With all our great technology and understanding thus far, no one can tell you what it's like to be you. No one. The funny thing is, you may not even know, which is also wonderful. You can find out. And when you become curious like that, you might naturally want other people to find that out. And you know what? We might feel motivated to create structures that support people being able to find that out. Nonviolence is just removing barriers. Fundamentally, it's removing the barrier between ourself and life. We feel the wind blow on our face. We hear the crunch of leaves under our feet. We enter the world with people of all ages and backgrounds. Perhaps we do something like walk for nonviolence, and we hear marching bands and teenagers with their friends and babies crying and tired parents commiserating with one another. And if we're lucky, we might wonder, how could this be? How could all of this be? Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful for this moment. So grateful for the path of nonviolence that is given to us as a powerful legacy of awakening, a legacy of love, a legacy of unity, and a legacy of courageous, full-hearted living May we take a small movement in that direction today. All this we pray. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. Do you hear?
Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights on the plain, in the vale on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, Through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush, do you hear in the hush of your soul, hear the cry fear won't still, hear the heart's call to will, hear a sigh's startling trill in your soul, From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear?
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we gather again.
As you depart, please remember the one great fact. I love that even people who are here for the first time are doing it. This is really wonderful. Catch on quickly. Yeah. Remember the one great fact. You are all loved, all of you, and never truly alone.